So when we left off, we had just finished up with some orc sort of bandits that weren't actually necessarily the bad guys that you guys slaughtered in mass.
You're gonna try and make us feel guilty about this, and I don't know about the others, but you know what? I don't actually feel bad.
No,
No,
I'm not making you feel guilty.
yeah. Given the information we're working on, I don't think we had any other choice but to do what we did. Really, I think we're the good guys here.
You saved who you could, and you did what you could to pick up the pieces afterwards, so it's fine. So I guess then the question becomes, what do we want to do?
Try to take over the world?
We got a lot of spinning plates.
Yeah, we do, don't we? Broadly speaking, what are our options now? What have we got? What have we got on the go, and what are we waiting for?
Okay. So as far as like the general overview, the vote on the city council is in 6 days. Meet the slavers
Okay.
in 10 days. There's some contracts that are ongoing. And then out a little farther is guildship in 26 days.
Wait, where was the slavers?
What?
How far out
Slavers.
were the I forgot and/or didn't hear how far the slavers are.
10 days.
Okay.
Hmm. I feel like because John's not here, we need to fill the time with something rather than just scoot forward to something that we're going to do anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think, you know, rather than just fast forward to something that's important that we've been waiting to happen.
I have I've got about 1 billion things going on right at the moment, but I had made notes last time, which was boats, cruise, shipping. Because we had been talking to the guys,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and yeah, those were the things like that was pertinent to the dudes, the guys we just saved.
Yeah.
So we could go and
Scoop up some more of them.
yeah.
Yeah, we could go talk to them and start organizing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me.
So what? We're gonna just port over to Summertide and say, "Hey, what's up,
Yeah,
Doc?
basically.
Doc dudes, saved a couple of your children and family members, so come and work with us instead of in this crap show that you're working."
More or less.
Yeah, come have an actual job with individuals that actually value you as an autonomous person instead of just, a slave.
Okay.
Or something like that.
So, group goes to Summertime. You hop through the portal, get into Summertime. And why does this still have the frickin' divider lines grids in it? There we go. So we end up over here, kind of on the southern side. When we come out of the portal, the docks are a little bit on the north side, mostly on the north side, a little bit on the southern side. The main dock area or processing, I guess would be a good way to put it, is up here. Like I said, you're kind of in the mercantile, I would say middle class to maybe upper class people in your general area right now. Obviously, stepping through the portal, a few of the people are shocked, but no one comes up and talks to you. They kind of stray away. In fact, they see some guys popping out of this fountain and they're like, oh shit. Well, stay away from those weirdos.
Only sketchy people travel by fountain.
What, just because you're just because some lady in the water gave you a sword that makes you in charge?
Yeah. It's because some watery tart.
Yep. Some watery tart gave you a scimitar.
Absolutely.
That makes you king. I
Help,
didn't vote
help,
for
I'm
you. Yep.
Yeah. I think I prefer that to Life of Brian. I can never decide, to be honest.
I much prefer that to Life of Brian.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
But I think my favorite sketch from them is Dead Parrot.
Yeah, probably. It's brilliant.
Oh, wait a second. Did we bother to bring at least one of the two kids back with us so that or a letter or some kind of description?
Oh, yeah, we should do. Oops, no, we didn't. We totally should.
So that's okay. We can reimagine, one of the brothers coming back with you.
Okay.
And both of their names escape me. So
I think I wrote it down.
oh, did you?
I said think. Miles and brother.
Okay. That's perfect. That makes sense why I picked Miles. Okay. So Miles is in tow with you. Do you guys just head straight for the dock?
Sure. Where else would we go?
I mean, it's a big city. There's lots of places to go. Food to eat, shawarma.
Okay. Oh.
Fucking hell.
What?
I'm using two monitors and I've been pissing about trying to get the cursor, get the pointer to go up to the other monitor and just realise I've got it set up as wrong. It's across from it instead of above it. Never mind.
Oh yeah, that would be obnoxious.
Yeah, I'm more annoyed at myself really for being so stupid. Really. It's better.
So with the Miles in tow, you head to the docks. they're very, and there's a lot of, tons of people working. You can probably see, I don't know, at least 200 different workers, whether they're unloading cargo off of ships or, and there's some people processing, people who are coming in, checking paperwork status. It's very busy. There's a lot of, non-major race people here on the dock. So you have a high concentration, both coming in and just in general workers. So you have a lot of orcs and half orcs. You have a lot of you have quite a number of like tieflings, and some of the other. Why am I not thinking of other weird races? Just any of your out of the normal areas. So not a whole lot of like elves, humans, halflings, or dwarves, I guess is what I would say. And like I said, that's including the people who are coming off the dock. A lot of them are not. In this case, I would say the split is probably like 90-10.
So we are outside of the normal.
Yes.
Is this what? So this breakdown of the population, is it what we notice on the dock, or is it what we notice while we walk through other parts of the town?
No, this is just on the dock. The rest of the
Okay.
town, more on the northern side, has like a higher population, I would say, of some of your odd races, but
Yeah.
definitely on the side that you guys started with, there aren't any that appear to be, not one of the major four races.
Yeah. Right. And now this might sound like a daft question, but are we like when we look at this? Is it like? Do we get the impression it's this is because there's an enough right now? For the want of a better way to describe it, does it look like these other races look like they're doing the manual jobs? Like, does it look like they're basically
Yes.
workers, or does it look like you've just moved to another part of town that happens to be populated by another
No,
culture?
when you guys are walking through the northern section, like I would say the like lower middle class and
Yeah.
all of the lower class laborers just in general, the
Yeah.
those the other races are definitely doing the majority of those tasks.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the odd normal race that you would see is usually in some sort of position of power,
Like,
whether it's something as
yeah.
simple as, like the head of who's running the docks or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
and you do notice when you cross the bridge to the north that the bridge itself is pretty empty, in the sense that not a lot of people go from one side to the other. If people are going from one side to the other, they're usually, if they're coming from the north to the south, they have carts full of stuff, different goods and whatnot. If they're going from the south to north, then they have empty carts.
So Miles, lead the way. We want to talk to your folks and stuff.
And so Miles leads you guys over to the only orc that you can see who's in charge, or who's doing paperwork instead of manual labor. and he's kind of behind the rest of processing, doing some sort of checklist or whatnot. And as you guys make your way that way with Miles at the front of the group, then this guy with the clipboard comes quickly running over, and they talk to each other in Orcish, or is it Goblin? Native Orc language, which I can't picture right now is Orc or Goblin.
Orcish.
Orcish?
Yes.
Okay. So they speak in that. You see them hug each other, and as they pull away, you can see, like a couple tears coming down from the guy who had the clipboard. And Miles motions you guys over, and he says, he says, "Pop, these are the people who saved me. They have some questions and an opportunity for us to make a better life away from all the crap that's going on here. So he says, would you reach out to them, or would you mind speaking to them?" And so this the father approaches you, and in a very gruff and fairly broken normal, or common, I guess not normal, and fairly broken common, he says, "Hello, my name like, good to meet you. Thank you for saving son."
You're welcome.
And he says, "So tell me about this opportunity. It pay good, people nice?"
Yeah, but I mean,
Certainly nicer than the people around here.
yeah.
Racist fucks.
we need a man with expertise and the knowledge and know-how to run docks and make things function smoothly, and we're we try to be good. Like, I honestly don't know how to say this. Like, we're fair.
We're fair. That's a good way of putting it. What's the line from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? He's not good, but he is fair.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they say about Aslan?
Yeah.
So he says, come to office. You show me what you need done. So he leads you guys to this sort of windmill-looking building, and you come in, and there's papers flurrying, and here you see a few more normal races, but you still see quite, like, the vast majority is your off races. And he brings you over to this big desk that's back against one wall, and he pulls out this map, and you look at it, it's clearly a map of Mech, and he points on it, and he says, "Okay, what you need me to do? What you want to do? What's your plan here?"
Ireland, you're the man with the plan.
Okay, so essentially, we're going to be opening some trading lanes through the swamp from Mech up to Sherry Meadow. Hold on, double check the name on the map.
Nope, that's correct.
Okay, and then basically building some ports, some small areas where we're going to be loading and unloading stuff, and we're going to be, manning some boats. So really, what we need are people who can load and unload, know the logistics of moving small vessels in and out of port. We need people to crew the boats. We need people by crew. We need people, people who know how to operate on boats. We need deckhands. We need captains. We need people to load and unload said boats when they get to and fro, and we need like people to protect those boats from thieves and monsters in the swamp and whatnot.
And he nods his head, like he understands, and he starts mumbling, he starts mumbling some Orcish under his breath, closing his eyes. It looks like maybe he's doing some calculations in his head.
Mhm.
And he thinks for a second, doing all this, and he looks over to Miles, and he gives him a command in Orcish, and Miles runs off, out of this windmill area, and you see him turn towards the dock people, and he says,
So, for the record, I do speak Orcish.
"Oh, okay." So what he commands, what he tells Miles is, he says to him, "Go get your brothers and your cousins. Like, you know, let's get our shit together." Essentially, right?
Okay.
And so turns back to you guys, and he says, "Okay, like I gather my men. It's quite a long journey to Mech. About 19 days
Well,
or so."
no. It'll be minutes. We got you.
He says, "Minutes." He says, "How you get there so fast?"
Wizards.
He says, "Ooh, wizards. Orkno no wizards."
Could have said we were gods then.
I think wizards is a better meme than gods.
Well, if you're gonna lie about your status, you might as well go for the
I never
top.
claimed I was a wizard. I never claimed I was a wizard. I said that's how we're getting there. These are fucking portals
right,
made by magical wizard
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying this afterwards as we walk away, but like I really wish that we'd said that this wizard helps us gods travel around.
So, he he starts gathering up his table, gathers up some maps, and he extends his hand, and he says, as long as he says, "As long as you pay and treat nice, we have good partnership."
Yeah, I mean, so here's my first question: how are you paid here? What is your wage like here?
So, for our services as a whole, we usually get paid about a gold piece a week, and I split that up between my men.
How many men do you have?
I was going to bring about 75.
They get paid nothing. You could pay them 10 times that, and it would be nothing.
He says, "Ooh, that very good."
I wasn't necessarily saying that to him.
Yeah, they don't get paid a lot.
I think we could afford to raise that a bit. Did we set up housing or anything?
No, we're not necessarily bringing them right now. We needed to make sure they wanted to do it.
Okay.
So
did you say that was getting everybody ready to leave now?
I mean, so told Miles to go get his brothers and cousins. Like, he didn't necessarily say they were going to leave now, but
Okay.
gathered up a lot of his stuff.
Well,
Okay.
I guess we should ask them, how do they live now? Like, what is their home arrangement like?
So, he says, "Come, I show you." And you step outside, and you can see some large tents. I would say, maybe a quarter mile away over here. And he says, "We live there." He says,
Okay.
he points to this very like the biggest looking tent, and he said, "That my tent, I big tent."
It
You
looks
guys-
like a lovely tent.
Okay, so I mean, they basically have shitty tents. We could build some like ramshackle, like a couple barracks and a small, like some smaller like single unit homes for the higher ranking ones, and I think we could get away with that relatively cheap, and it would just be much better living conditions than they have now.
Yeah.
And says to you guys, he says, "So when you want us to come? If we come now, we take tents."
Okay, so we still need to get shit sorted with Cherry Meadow, so that's issue one. We still need to like actually get this established. This is a little bit of counting our chickens before they hatch right now. So, um, yeah,
He says,
Um,
"So how long you need to prepare?"
that's the question I'm trying to answer. So our guild ship stuff is in 34 days. I think we're. How
Wait,
about
didn't you just say that it was like 26 days away?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think my dates are off on my notes. I think how long is until the guild ships? I forgot we jumped a couple days. How long is until guild ship stuff, Dale?
26 days.
Okay. It means we've got 8 days or 10 days until slavers and 6 days until voting stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess do we think do we think we just go to Cherry Meadow now and start talking to them? Honestly, like I don't know. Originally, the plan was maybe wait until the guild ship stuff is over, but at the same time, like we just go now and start trying to facilitate that because I feel like we do. I feel like that might be our best choice, but the guild ship definitely gives us more clout, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, the more that we have before we become a proper guild, the more, like...
It's a force multiplier, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we go and start talking to them. How about we say this? We tell them, we say, okay, we're going to go do some more talk. We've got some other people to talk to. We'll let you know what's going on within 4 to 5 days. Probably less. And I'm going to give him 10 gold as like an upfront payment, say here. Split this among your men. Keep some extra for yourself. This is like us saying, we're going to employ you. We just don't know when yet, and we want to increase your quality of life.
So takes the money and looks at it, and he gets a little emotional, and he says, this 3-month wage. He says this a lot of money. Like my family be very happy.
Good. Don't spend it all in one place, and do something nice.
He says, "Okay, I wait for your return."
Yep, we'll be back. Like I said, we should be back within hopefully less than a week. But
So, oh, sorry.
all I was gonna say is I wonder if the kids want to stay here or they want to go back with us. That's all.
We only brought the one, right? So
That's true. That's true.
that would, I mean, I guess we could technically bring the other one here, like when we head back to base and be like, so we left your brother with family. Do you want to stay here or go join the family?
It really just depends what he wants to do.
Just pretty much kick him through the portal, couldn't we, and send him back? I don't mean literally. I just, do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean we don't need to necessarily mess about too much, do we? I think they should be together.
What if he hates his family?
Well, maybe. All right. Yeah.
I was gonna say the next little scene might clear up some of this. Um,
He's dead.
so walks with you guys outside, and then you see Miles with this like crowd of orcs and half orcs, and they're like every single one of these dudes looks like they could be the orc or half orc clone of Halbjorn. Each of them are 7 feet tall, like 300 pounds. Like, these are all huge dudes. And women. I mean, even the women are massive. And Miles comes to you guys, and his comment's quite a bit better. And he said, he waves to you guys, and he says, "This is my family." He says, and then you hear Harlan talk to him and Orcish, and he says, "They're coming back in 5 days." And he says, "So tell our family to get their shit together." Like, and then he gives Miles 9 of these 10 gold coins, and he says, split this among the family." And Miles looks at this money, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is a lot of money." And this is back and forth in Orcish. So Miles turns around and tells his brothers and his cousins, "Hey, we'll be back, and they'll be back in a few days. Like, make your attempt, and get your stuff together." And Miles says to you guys, "I'll stay here." And he quickly goes over to a table, grabs a paper, and writes something on a page real quick, folds it up, and gives it to you guys. And he says, "Give this to my brother. He should stay to get stuff ready there. I'll get stuff ready here. My brother can get stuff ready there. That way we'll have a smooth movement."
A poop joke.
It's awfully harsh of you to say about these lower class people.
Smooth movement sounds like a poop joke. I'm sorry.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, it is.
So Miles and the others leave, and says to you guys, "Okay, I wait for you to come back."
Sounds good. We will talk to you in a couple days.
So now we're off to Cherry Meadow, is that correct?
Yeah, we need to start talking to people in Cherry Meadow and start getting this set up.
So you guys head back through the portal.
Who the hell is in charge of Cherry Meadow? Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
Do we have a good rapport with her?
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, I don't remember.
At least by association, you have a generally favorable rapport, as she's one of the only 2 court states that stayed after Alicia was revealed to be a tiefling.
Okay, that's what I thought. But
Yeah. Cherry Meadow.
So you head out to Cherry Meadow, and it's an agrarian. It's much more agrarian than a lot of the other cities that you guys visit. It's still massive. They're still talking about 500,000 people in this city.
Jesus.
But a very agrarian lifestyle still. Just to refresh your memory, there's the river that cuts just onto the edge of Cherry Meadow, and the rest of the 3 sides are pretty much covered by either mountains or big hills. So it's very well defended from literally all 4 sides by the landscape. This is like the little valley in between all this, right?
Mm.
when you guys come through, then you guys come through and you end up in the courtyard of the like where Elizabeth resides. And a couple of the servants come out to you quickly and they say, hello, like, where are you guys from, like, can I direct you to anyone? They're just genuinely helpful.
So we are here to see Elizabeth. We are from, well, a little bit of all over, but we're coming directly from Hasiki Mek.
And they say okay and they rush away real quick. And there are some, you could definitely tell that there are some of like the guards on patrol who kind of have slowed their normal walk around rounds, and they're kind of just watching you from some distance away. And then about 5 minutes later or so, then Elizabeth comes out to meet you guys, and she says, oh, hello, like, you're Alicia's friends, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she says, and it's good to see you guys. What can I do for you?
Well, I don't know if you've heard, we've recently we've been cleaning up Hasiki Mek for the last little bit here. And we're looking to basically open a port and some points between Lunastrella and Cherry Meadow, or well, between Hasiki Mek and Cherry Meadow, I should say. Basically, we're looking to make basically make it faster and easier to get goods from Lunastrella to Cherry Meadow and back, and subsequently get those goods through Hasiki Mek. So rather than having to walk all the way around and deal with the swamp or walk around the swamp, you'll be able to just charter a boat and go through the swamp.
And Elizabeth says, that's great. Like, that's good to hear. Like, we'll definitely take the increased economic activity. She says, we don't have any docks in place. She was like, the river's strong, so like they can carry boats. Like, that's not a problem. But there hasn't really been a need for docks up to this point, so we don't have anything installed. She's
Okay.
like, but we can start setting that up if that's what you guys want to do.
Well, so we wanted to make sure you were amenable. Like we have the crew to build it ourselves. We will come and put a dock up here. If you prefer to do it yourself, that's also acceptable. We understand. But we wanted to make sure this was amenable to you, and we weren't showing up and just being like, oh hey, we're gonna show up with goods to sell here.
She says, no, that's perfect. And she says, honestly, that'll be fairly helpful. And she says, here, come with me real quick, and I'll show you guys kind of some other things going on in the area. So I assume you follow her.
Of course.
So you follow her sort of to this, what I would call like a war room. And she has a map of the lands. It's fairly detailed. It's a large map, so you can see quite a bit of details. And there are different, like markers placed on them, or minifigs, if you want to call them that. And she says, as it currently stands with what's going on in the tear, she says, we don't have a lot of goods or a lot of military strength to add to Merrywind's forces. She was like, so we keep them supplied with foods, general, like herbs for healing and for whatnot. More of that sort of keep the supply going. She's like, so normally our path, our path meets across the way with Phandalin moves their goods to us, and then we take a load all together. So, getting more goods and resources from Lunastrella that are less common here would be extremely helpful, because Lunastrella has a large, I guess, religious population would be a good way to put it.
Mhm.
So a lot of their holy materials are, can be used at the tear for obvious reasons.
Right.
She's like, so that would really help on that front as well. But from just a city standpoint, like, increased trade would definitely help us, because most of the stuff that we have here, we make or grow here. And the occasional odd things we used to get more from Merrywind, but with the tear in between us, it's quite a long ways to get out of the radius that's come from the tear.
Sure.
So that would definitely help supply them better.
Out of character, what's the travel time like by boat? Or can I say, what is the time on foot to go from Lunastrella to Cherry Meadow? Like by wagon or whatever method they're moving goods. I'm assuming it's like cart or something, but
So it's about 12 days by cart, and that's probably on the like higher end. So if there's smaller carts and they're faster, like faster moving goods or whatever, so between 12 and 14 days, I would say.
and now what are we looking like on same travel by water?
So same travel by water, we're looking at, depending on delays, assuming no delays, it could be 2 days. With maximum delays, you're probably looking at maybe 4. And that's from Lunastrella to Cherry Meadow, correct? That's what you
Yeah.
asked? Yeah.
So, because here's the thing, I feel like Lunastrella is going to be the harder sell, and I want to make sure we have that data on hand before we go to them and be like, look, we can make the travel time, we can cut your travel time by a third if we do this. So, yeah.
Well, and actually cut it by 2/3.
Oh, yeah.
Math is slipping. Shameful.
Doing multiple things because I'm bad man. Anyway.
So, that's the outlook from a time perspective, how long it takes goods to come across.
Okay, so now what are they spending? Like, I know you said they had to like hire people, and it was a whole thing to go by to go that way. To have to go all the way around. It's a whole pain in the ass.
Right. So generally, any goods that come from Lunastrella, they're usually depending on, it's kind of fragmented. Like there's not a city state to city state, like trade agreement or anything like that. So all the goods that come in, either the merchants from Lunastrella or the merchants from Cherry Meadow usually pay some sort of security force to travel with the group to protect them.
Mhm.
And that's, I shouldn't say usually, that's almost a must. Especially given the large number of forces that have accumulated in the swamps.
Mhm.
So beyond the security force that has to travel with these convoys, there's also the increased cost of the travel time. So they have to make sure the goods will last that long to get there, if they're perishable goods. If they're unperishable goods,
Of
then
course, yeah.
they have to just make sure that it's usually unperishable goods, non-perishable goods. I don't know why I keep saying unperishable. Non-perishable goods usually have like a higher rate of being attacked. So there's depending on how expensive the goods are that are non-perishable, there might be an additional security force that has to go with them. And depending on depending on the goods, the security force can cost anywhere between 10 to like 50 gold pieces just for that 2-week period. So every time that they're doing it, it's between 10 and 50 gold pieces. So obviously the trade's not
Yeah, if we could.
super well, I was going to say it's much less frequently than it could be. You know what I mean? With the higher cost associated with it. Merchants are more likely to in Cherry Meadow, merchants are more likely to keep to just use the goods that they have available to them versus bringing them in from somewhere else, especially from Lunastrella. It's not so bad from, like if you look at the big map, it's not so bad if they're along this main road, the Salt Road, or from Phandalin. But if we're talking about going from even originally Mech, and less so now because of your guys' presence, but from Mech, even some of the goods, like they'd be hesitant to get goods from Mech. But I would say the goods from Lunastrella come maybe once a week versus goods from Mech come every 2 to 3 days, and anywhere along the road you're having goods come in every day or every other day.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this will also, yeah, okay, yeah, that's great. That actually answers all my questions. Now we need to take this info to Estrella, and then so I guess my question is for her is would they prefer to build their own docks or would they prefer we use our crews to build it?
She says I'm flexible either way. She's like, if our crews do it, it's going to take longer, but just because most of the a large portion of our labor goes to animal husbandry and farming, so pulling some of those people away, we can't pull away a large group of people.
Sure. In that case, okay, so we're happy to build and pay for it. I guess we're gonna need to get some logistics sorted out and figure out how big of docks we need, how big of boats we need. The lead on time on boats, I imagine, is quite long because we need, let's say probably if it's a 2-day travel, we probably want 2 boats to begin with to go each way, so probably 4 boats.
I think the fleet is expanding swiftly.
Yeah, so realistically, let's get this show on the road, start contracting everyone. Basically, we're going to pay the upfront costs, which I imagine is going to be several thousand gold to get these docks built and get everyone staffed to get the boats going. But then we're just going to take, after setting up payments, we'll see what the income is like. Basically people are going to have to pay to use their boats and use the docks to ship things, but it'll still be realistically, it's still probably going to be cheaper than what they were paying before because they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay as much for security. The trip's shorter, goods last longer. And by they don't have to pay for much for security, I mean they only have to hire people for 2 days or maybe no days because we're going to have some security staff on these boats instead of it being instead of them having to pay for security staff for 2 weeks, it'll be at most 4 days, maybe less.
Yeah.
She says, no, that makes complete, like even if the cost were exactly the same, then just the time cost would be far worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
She says, like, do what you need to do. If you need any assistance from me, whether it be monetary or personnel, like, just let me know.
Honestly, I think the only thing we're going to need from you is when we move our crews here to build the dock, we might need some temporary housing, just while they're working for them. So if you have tents or whatever, that would be useful to us.
She says, that's perfect. We'll start setting up the area right away.
Yeah.
Just in preparation.
Sure. So we're probably going to build it'll probably be a couple weeks before we get them out here to build your dock, because we have to build our own still. But we got to get all our ducks in a row.
She's like, sounds great. We'll prepare some temporary housing here and then wait for you to start bringing in the people.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to Lunastrella now, guys.
Okay.
Just one very quick thing. You know the map in Roll20, the one of like the world map, if you like.
Yep.
Have we got a better, like a higher resolution map?
You can click on it and zoom it in a bunch.
Yeah, it's just fuck. Oh, is it just Roll20 being Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it's or is it?
And I can get a fairly mine. If you look at the picture, you know what? I'll screen share so you can see.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be ironic if your screen share was fucking better than what I'm looking at?
Oh, can you see my screen?
Where have you shared it?
In Discord. You should see that I'm live.
Live in current. No, I can see watch stream. Oh, watch stream.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not. That's. I can't
Okay.
really see how good. Yeah, it's approximately the same.
I know mine blows from like super low to fairly high. I know.
Yeah, I was just looking at it, and it's really difficult to. It looks like it's been done on a Commodore 64.
Well, part of it is the font he used is not great.
Hey, don't blame me. I took it directly from Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's not a problem. It's just I seem to remember looking at the map and it being in a different resolution than what I've got. And I thought, is there one somewhere in Discord or put up, you know what I mean, which I've not seen? But no, it's okay. It must just be that then.
Can you?
Unless you could share the actual. I mean, like, is it like the PNG of it into Discord, so I could just literally download it or something?
I can.
You know what I mean? So that way, it's one less thing for Roll20 to have to think about, because it shits the bed as soon as I have to do a few things more than basic, doesn't it? Sometimes. Like it. Just trying to see it again. Maybe it's because I've just taken it out in a floating window. That might not be helping. Map. Where's it gone now? The map. Close stream. No, it won't even open it.
Stop the stream. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I saw that. No, I mean now it won't even open the fucking map in Roll20.
Roll20 thing.
Yeah, I swear sometimes you only have to look at it sideways and it just crashes, doesn't it?
It was like last week. That's what I felt like. Every time it just kicked me out.
Yeah. Kick me out. Kick me out. Now I've got an Arctic Monkey song stuck in my head, which is never a bad thing.
Oh.
Never mind. Fuck off. Right. Oh, just ignore me. I'm just. Oh, did it do anything?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see here. Make sure it's not pinned already.
What have I- Right. I opened the map and then I pulled it out into a separate window. You know, like you can separate it into a
Mhm.
separate window, like a floating window. And then I closed the floating window, and now it won't open the map at all, which
So,
is quite frustrating. But never mind.
if you go to Discord, we actually had it in pinned lore. Now
I
I
thought it was
pinned it.
somewhere. I just couldn't find it.
Well, and now I pinned it, and so it's among the pinned messages in pinned lore. Should be the most recent. Well, most recent pinned.
See all pinned messages. Ah, okay. 29th. Oh, no. Oh, wow, that's amazing. It's the very first one
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
like 2 years ago.
um,
29th of the 2nd. 29th of the 2nd, 2020.
and then if you click it, and then in the bottom left-hand corner, it should say Open Original. And then when you click it, it'll open up a big version of it.
Just deciding where to save it to.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna run to the restroom.
Okay,
No excuse for bodily functions.
none at all.
How dare he?
Let's hope it's a smooth passage, as referenced earlier.
Smooth movement.
I think that was the smooth movement. Oh god, no, it just sounds like I'm being weird.
It just made me think of smooth move, X-Lines. Just one of the weirdest fucking things you could say. And I said, I didn't say it, but like it was said all the time when I was a kid.
What was it?
Yep.
Smooth? What was that?
Smooth move, X-Lax.
Oh.
That sort of things.
Oh, I can't find it. Hmm. Whoa.
Is that map better for you?
Sorry, hang on. I've just ended up downloading the one that was the original one at the top because I can't actually see the one that you've just shared. Dan, to be honest, well, I can't see I can't see it. I'm a bit confused.
You can't see the one that's pinned?
I can see the one I'm looking at. It's all right. I've got them anyway. So rather than me keep going on about it, I've downloaded a map from Pinned Law, which the one that's dated right at the top, which is so if I go into Pinned Law and then I click the
Pinned
that's the 2nd
messages.
of January. Yeah, 2nd January. A message. All right. 29th of the 2nd. No, that still takes me back to 2020. Oh, I see. You just put a link back to the original one.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Fine. I've downloaded that, so I can. Yeah. It's fine. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So now you can kind of see the overflow of where everything is going from different ways.
Yeah, no, I mean I could see it. I've looked at the map. It's just I couldn't get the fucking map to. The map looks like it's just the one I was looking at was just awful,
Oh yeah, I'm
and
sure.
I couldn't quite work it out because I thought I'm sure we've seen another map, and it's anyway. Right, so I've got a clear. This is really like high resolution now, so cool. Yep.
Now, if I remember correctly, Lunastrella is the one that didn't keep one of the ones who didn't stay with
Correct.
Marion. This is going to be a whole different kettle of fish, I'm assuming.
Kind of. Except for if you remember, so there was when there were a bunch of people that we were reviving,
Mm-hmm.
the druid who came and helped you guys was major political person in Lunastrella.
Right.
Oh yeah, Nina.
Cinnamon.
Right? Cinnamon.
Nina's your good. Nina's the witch who now operates out of your guys' tower.
Oh yeah.
Cinnamon was the Fey druid
That's right.
with super green hair and eyes.
Oh. No brain anymore. It's all just a melted puddle of gray matter.
So, Lunastrella, that's where we're going now.
Yep. We got to go talk to them.
So, Jesus Christ, why did I leave the grid on so many of these?
Because why not?
Because I don't like the grid through my pictures. So, Lunastrella, you got here. You guys come out of this fountain here. And like I said, this would be, I would say, like the Mecca equivalent or Jerusalem equivalent, or however you want to think about it, holy city equivalent of our world. This large building over here is a temple to Michael. Building over here is the temple of Cassandra. And those are your two major deities that are followed here. You have a few Fiona followers, but not very many. And as far as outwardly, there's not a whole lot of Azrael followers that are easy to pick out. So I suppose if you follow Azrael, then you probably don't know people about it. They're decent buildings. This is very representative. It does have a much lower population than the other cities you've gone to, maybe only about 100,000. And a lot of those residents are not permanent. They're either there on a pilgrimage or on a visit, or they're clerics, paladins who are training to move out to other places. So I would say like actual population that doesn't move around, doesn't change, is probably closer to 50,000. So this is one of the smaller, probably the smallest town you guys have been in. Can you guys hear me? Am I muted?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
So you come out of the fountain, and besides these two large temples that you see, there are just large congregations of people in white robes, people in tan robes, moving in and out of these buildings, moving throughout the city. It's very peaceful, serene, um, you know, like any holy city ideally should be. Um, so then the question becomes, where do we start to look out for people who might be in charge? Do we just talk to some people who are around? Do we check out one of the temples?
Well,
I mean, you said it's a religious city, so assuming that the religious leaders are probably also like the political leaders.
I would
You
have
are
thought
indeed
so.
correct. It is a theocracy.
Pretty much what I was going to say.
It is indeed a theocracy.
Um,
So it's
this
just
could
trying to fix it.
this could pose an entirely different set of
Wait a minute.
problems, then, couldn't it?
Why don't we see if Cinnamon is in Lunastrella and talk to her to find out who the fuck else we need to talk to?
That's a good idea.
Oh my god, I had one.
So
Mark it on the calendar.
The question still remains, so where do you look for Cinnamon then?
I'm just going to
go
start
out and
screaming. I'm just going to start screaming in Druidic and hope she hears me.
So, just to clarify, Cinnamon was one of the. Oh, hello. Am I muted?
Nope.
No, you're here.
All right, cool. Cinnamon was one of the people who. Was Cinnamon at the thing? You know, when everyone pissed off, but some of them stayed.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and Cinnamon was one of the people who left.
She was
Or am I
one
getting
of the
confused?
people who left. Yes. But
Oh,
you have had
right.
you have had a more recent dealing with her when we revived a shit ton of people.
Okay.
Or I guess revived is the wrong term. Reincarnated a shit ton of people.
Okay.
You can hear there's a like I would say like a loud woman's singing voice coming from the tower in Michael. The Michael Tower. Michael Temple, whatever the fuck. And it sounds sort of like Cinnamon. I mean, singing voice is slightly different than talking voice, so but as you have heard Cinnamon sing before, because she sang at the funeral for the Queen, and she sang at or she was, singing at the beginning of Alicia's coronation, before everyone fucked off. So it sounds like it could be her, is the end point I'm trying to get to here. And a long way of saying that.
Yeah, let's follow the music.
Yeah.
So you guys enter this the Temple of Michael. And when you come in, there is just this loud I wouldn't say this loud singing at the front. It's very, very like cathedral feel on the inside. You go through these big doors, and they make quite a creak coming in, and these two ushers who are at the front, turn to you guys and go shh as you shut the doors behind you. You see people sitting in pews, people kneeling in the pews. I would say it looks very. If you're familiar with what a huge Catholic service looks like, I would say that's kind of what it looks like.
I'm from the Northeast. There are huge Catholic services everywhere. It's fucking awful.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic, so and I was fucking made to serve on. I was an altar boy for years, so yeah. I've been to more masses than your average pope. To be honest.
See,
My condolences.
As someone from the U.S., when you hear altar boy, the first thing that comes to your mind is sexual abuse. So I'm like, oh, he's from the UK.
Yeah.
It's probably not quite so bad.
Yeah, that was one of the. To be honest, that tends to be one of the features of Ireland. Really, there's a lot of abuse there, and apparently in England as well. But yeah, I was. I don't know. I wasn't. I nearly said fortunate enough. It's not something that was ever in my fucking remit. No. Although there was a local priest that was that's now on a sexual offenders register. Yeah, but he's not one I've been in dealings with.
Only one?
Yeah, well, they keep them. Have you ever seen that film? Is it called Spotlight?
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah. So basically, that guy got punished upwards, didn't he? He got promoted effectively when they found out all the stuff that had gone on. Anyway,
they just keep those.
Yeah, I can picture the scene.
Spotlight is one of my all-time favorite movies. So
it's a superb film. That
I really love dramatic retellings of true things. Like I love Spotlight. I really love what the fuck is the name of that movie? It's a movie about, I think it's just called Zodiac.
To be honest, both of those films are two of my. I've watched both of those several times.
Same.
Zodiac's brilliant, and I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of
Jake Gyllenhaal.
What's the actor who played? No, I like Jake Gyllenhaal. One of my favorite films is Nightcrawler. Have you seen that?
I have not, but I've heard it's very creepy.
Watch it. It's his best performance by a mile. It's brilliant. It's not a perfect film, but he's absolutely superb in it. I've watched that several times, but no, I'm not a big fan of Robert Downey Jr. To be honest. I think he's a bit of a one-trick pony as an actor.
Just kind of always playing Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
You guys cut me deep. The only way you will cut me deeper is by saying Nicolas Cage.
I don't like. Yeah, he's very much. Well, yeah, he's like to me, he's like a pineapple. You can't put pineapple in either a fruit bowl or on a dish without him absolutely taking over. So if you like pineapple, you're all over it. If you don't, you can't. It's unpalatable.
There's a bunch of actors like that. I think Will Smith falls into the same camp. He's really good at being Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
But like the TV version of Will Smith. The second you try to make him be something else, it's just like, dude, you're Will Smith. That's who you are.
Yeah.
Nick Cage is in a similar vein.
He was feel good in Pursuit of Happiness.
Was he Will Smith? Because I'm pretty sure he still was.
Yeah, I just think that he was Will Smith.
The problem with Will Smith isn't that there's anything wrong with Will Smith. It's that if he's in a movie that is a vehicle for him to be Will Smith, he's fine or even good. Yeah. The problem is when you try to take Will Smith and make him be something that isn't Will Smith, it does not work.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the world's moved on from I don't think we need any more Will Smith type movies. So do you know what I mean? Will Smith being Will Smith movies, I just don't think we need any more of them.
I mean, every once in a while there's a story that comes out where you need someone to fill that role, but it's so rare, right? Like,
yeah. But yeah, anyway, watch Nightcrawler. Do watch it. It's a really, really good film. I think it's called Nightcrawler anyway. It's just a really good film. It's a brilliant performance.
I was mostly unhappy in the first 5 minutes because I assumed it was going to be a movie about Nightcrawler, the Marvel character, and it was not.
No. It's basically based around those film crews that run around at nighttime looking for, like, you know, if it bleeds, it leads type news stories. It's basically following that type of thing, and he's a bit of a weird character that he plays, and it's just dead good, isn't it? It's just a dead good film. It's not a perfect film, but it's something like almost. You really feel like you've stepped into a world that there's not really any other film that steps into that world at all, and it's just it's a really good space that they've created. Like it feels like sleazy but fresh at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, I could bang on about that all night, but never mind.
So when you guys come in and look towards the front, like I said, beyond the people in the pews and stuff like that, you see Cinnamon at the front singing. And after a couple short minutes, she stops and she walks off stage, and then a woman in red and white rose, and she's got like a pope-looking hat on. Not the ones that they've done more recently, where they've tried to tone it down. But I am of course speaking of the large cone, pointy head one.
Like a mitre. I think they're called a mitre, aren't they?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pope hat just sounds so much more fun.
Pope hat. Yep.
But she this woman gets up front and she's talking about I would say very like churchy stuff, like put your faith in Michael, and like very liturgical speaking that she's going on. And after a few minutes of her doing that, then Cinnamon comes out from closer to where you guys, because I imagine you guys did not file into the pews and fall in formation and start doing the praying as well. Would that be a correct assumption?
It's just kind of standing awkwardly back by the door, like, this is weird.
And so there are some offshoot aisles that feed into the back. And Cinnamon comes, from one of these aisles and comes and says, hello guys, look, what's going on? What brings you? Are you recent converts? Like what's going on here?
We're looking for you.
She says, "Oh, well, you found me." She's like, "What can I do for you guys?"
I feel like
Can
we
we
should
talk here, or can we go outside?
I feel like we should go outside and not interrupt the church happenings.
She's like, "Yeah." Liliana gets really pissy about that. She says, "Okay, let's."
Can you say pissy in a church? A bolt of lightning comes down and fucking frazzles her there and then.
She says, "Okay, let's go through this side door over here." She looks over at the ushers. She's like, "Some people are a little more religious than others," and like glares over at these ushers. And she walks with you guys over through this side door, and it's much quieter. You go out, and she says, "So, like, what can I do for you guys?" She says, "Or have you come to repay your favor?"
Are we supposed to repay a favor?
Yeah, she came and help us res a lot of stuff. She said she would want something from us in return at some point. She didn't tell us what.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I mean, we could probably repay our favor. We've got some downtime, like not right this second, but I'm saying like after we talk to her and get some stuff started on the docks, we could probably repay our favor. That would give us something to do while we wait for shit to happen in the next 8 days or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what is it that she wants us to do? What is it?
Okay, first let's tell her why we're here, and then
Yeah.
let's get to the favor bit. So, Cinnamon, we are here because we are looking to establish a water-based route of trade from Lunastrella to Cherry Meadow, or from Cherry Meadow to Lunastrella through Hasiki Mek. We're going to build some ports, charter some boats. Main goal here is to, get this trading route established. It'll, flow through all 3 cities. It'll increase the speed at which people can move goods from one city to the next. It'll put Hasiki Mek more along this trade route, so we have better access to trade without having to go all the way around. It'll give us, it'll give Hasiki Mek a, I don't want to say this, like its own. It instead of it being focused on like mercenaries, it'll give us something more. What's what I'm looking for here? Economical and less focused on basically being hired hands.
she says, okay, that sounds great. She's like, I can't give you approval for that, obviously. She says, but the lady who was at the front, Liliana, can get that sort of or can make that sort of decision. She's like, when she's done here, and she looks up at the sky. 2 hours, giving her liturgy to the group, to the masses. She's like, we can go and meet with her.
Okay. So I guess since we're here, we've got some time to kill. What does repaying your favor entail?
She says, well, as you know, this is a very magical city. We have a large influence from deities. But also, and it might help you guys to look at the map. She says, also to the north of us,
Yeah.
there is a large forest. Now, if you see Fairy Woods on the map, then it's the wooded area that's kind of in the middle. That the woods to the east of that are also part of that Fairy Woods.
So, okay.
Does that make sense? Does everyone see
So
what I'm
hang on,
talking about?
where are we now? What's the name of
So we're in Lunastrella. It's
Of course we are, yeah.
right in the
Lunastrella's over there.
east side.
Yeah.
There's a
side.
large forest to the north.
Yeah.
Those are part of Fairy Woods. And I spelled fairy in a way that should indicate, hey, this is probably related to the Fae.
Yeah.
So, and she says, we do a decent amount of trade with the Fae in Fairy Woods. But she says recently that trade's been stalled and there have been other creatures moving about in the area. She's like, I don't want you guys to go clear them. She's like, what I'd like is there's some magical seals that keep our city, because you see on the map there's this large wall that keep our structure protected from large scale magical attacks.
Mhm.
And one of these seals has failed recently. She's like, if you guys could check into it and see why it failed and possibly repair it, she's like, that would be a great help.
That seems easy enough.
Oh, you had to say it out loud.
What? I didn't necessarily mean say it in character. I'm just saying, like,
No, I don't think she meant you said it out loud as in you said it out loud in character.
oh, yeah, I know what she meant.
She says,
Sounds
so,
like fun, though.
while you guys are here, if you could check into it and possibly repair it, that would be a great help. She says, beyond that.
So what's the nature of the seal in the first place? What is it?
She says there's a building that acts as that has spell work inside the building. The building's completely empty except for the spell work. And the spell work has failed. We don't know why.
Okay.
And to my own checking, like there seems to be some sort of force that's keeping the seal, the magic in the seal from activating.
Okay, like something. Okay.
And she says, I've done my best to look around, but I can't tell what's going on, except for when I go into the building, I don't feel any connection to the weave anymore, or to any magic for that matter. And while it used to be like you felt like a surge of magical power, and now it's like it's dead. and it's one of the seals around the city that keeps it fortified. So while the whole city isn't unprotected, this section of the city where the seal is, the wall's not magically enhanced anymore.
Okay.
She says, but you can worry about that later if you want. Like, let's focus on waiting for Liliana to finish up. You know, can I give you a tour of the city or something while you wait? Do you have any other things you want to chat about? Are you hungry?
Always.
Yeah,
Nap.
we've had a day of traveling around dealing with, politicians and not politicians, but what's the word I'm looking for?
We've been politicking.
I mean, we have been politicking, but like, I want to say like leaders and ambassadors and the like, right? So we've been basically just traveling around. We saved, well, I guess we saved some people, came back, took a nap, and have now been traveling around just talking to people.
Yeah.
She says, okay, perfect. She's like, I'll show you the place to this bakery around around the corner. She's like, I will warn you, a lot of the food here is, how do I say this? Bland.
It's all fucking original graham crackers, man. That's what it is.
She says, and like, the bread generally is unleavened throughout the city. And not a lot of like animal products, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Oh, right. Is this like a religious thing? Is this because
Yes.
like?
Yeah, that's what I was referencing with original graham. Do you know the history of graham crackers?
I don't really know what they are. What are they?
So graham crackers in the U.S. are basically like a thin like wafer cookie sort of biscuit type thing, and here, let me find a picture.
It's one of those things that occasionally gets referenced on an American show, but it's never important enough for me to actually Google it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just something I've heard of, but I once
Yeah.
Googled what a Twinkie was because they seem to crop up in conversation now and again.
That's a graham cracker. That picture. They're slightly sweet. They're kind of crispy.
But sweet flavored cracker made with graham.
Yeah, so they originally started as a religious thing. They were an anti-masturbatory aid, basically. They were basically like terrible, and the goal was that if you took them, you would stop masturbating. Like that was why they existed.
To be honest, if you ate them and nothing else, you'd probably lose the will to live, let alone wank.
Like, I actually really like
enjoy them.
Yeah, so do I. I really like them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Look bland. They look bland.
Well, they were originally bland. They were originally really bland. These days they're not. They're generally like sweet. They've got honey or like cinnamon on them. They're actually quite good.
And then if you take chocolate and you toast a marshmallow and you put that marshmallow on top of the chocolate and you take another graham cracker and you put it on top of that marshmallow and you just stuff it in your face.
Yeah, s'mores. Like, I mean, I'm assuming you've heard of a s'mores if you've watched enough American.
What? Sorry.
S'mores.
No.
Okay, so in the U.S. we have a treat called s'mores. You take a graham cracker, like one of those sheets, you break it in half, you toast a marshmallow, generally over an open flame. You put like a strip of chocolate on the graham cracker, and you put the hot marshmallow on the graham cracker. The marshmallow starts to melt. It melts the chocolate a little bit. It's sweet. It's crunchy. You get the weird marshmallow texture. I'm actually not a big fan of s'mores. I don't really like marshmallows, but it's a very American thing. It's a lot of it associated with like the 4th of July a lot, where like people like roast hot dogs over an open flame and then eat s'mores in the same capacity. You like toast a marshmallow over an open flame and then eat it. It's very common for young children.
S'mores.
S''MORES.
Like I want some more.
Oh, you're joking. Is that where the name comes from?
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be Moorish. All right, I've never seen those before. I can't believe I've never heard of those.
They're very popular. They're in like so many things.
Yeah, they look quite good.
I will say they're very common in American marketing. Like if you're trying to like evoke those feelings of like summer or like
childhood nostalgia.
Yeah.
And camping.
They look quite cool. Cool. So anyway, right. So the food in this place is basically like graham crackers.
Yeah. Well, old school
Right.
graham crackers, the original ones, which are literally
Yeah.
just graham flour and awful, and they're like, you eat these, you won't masturbate.
Yeah, because you've lost the will to live.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised you've never had a graham cracker crust. There's a lot of like desserts that are made with a graham cracker crust.
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake, yep.
Oh, that's more like what we call biscuit in the bottom of a cheesecake.
Yes, it
I
very much is.
suppose. It's different, yeah. Not what you call what not America calls biscuits.
Right. I
They're like
mean,
Yes,
yeah,
we
totally
understand.
different.
We get it.
yeah, we all know. We've been on the
Yeah.
internet. It's 2020.
Yeah.
But
I've watched
Anyway,
too many British Bake Offs for my search engine to say that biscuit is the American one.
Yeah. It's just different words for different things.
Words are all made up anyway.
Yeah, they
oh
are,
my
exactly.
god, you mean to tell me that language evolved independently in some
Yeah.
capacity?
Absolutely.
Holy shit, you just blew my mind.
So, so you got, and she takes you to this little bakery cafe sort of thing.
Oops.
And they bring you, like a plate of some unleavened bread and some beans and rice and very mealy, blandish things. No animal products, no milk, no eggs, no meat.
Ian.
And while they're bringing in the food, she talks to you guys and she says, what have you been up to in your adventures? Like, how's things been going? Obviously, you got this boat thing you're working on.
This boat thing. Sorry to be quite so disparaging about it.
She's
sorry, I didn't say it. Samuel did not say that out loud.
She's fairly crass for being a singing druid in front of a large religious building. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just gonna say we give her the update on what's been going on.
I was just going to say, so a good comparison for graham crackers, Pita's digestives. They're
Oh.
very similar.
Oh, right, really?
Yeah, that's
right. Digestives are brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, they're basically
right, okay.
They're slightly different texture. They're a little more crumbly, but similar taste.
Yeah.
For like the best comparison I'm seeing is like a thin digestive, like a digestive.
Yeah, well, digestives were originally there to sort of literally help digestion, I think, but they actually just give you fucking heartburn because they've got kind of like they've evolved a little bit and they just give you sort of heartburn. They're nice though. Maybe I've evolved. Maybe I'm 40 and I'm not a teenager anymore. Maybe that's it. Anyway, but yeah, I've now got a better idea what they are now.
So, you give her the update, and you guys just have small talk, chit chat. If there's anything you guys want to ask her about, feel free to.
I have a bunch of. So Harlan would fucking go like ape shit on druid questions. So Harlan is a member of like a relatively big druid circle back home. So he's sort of curious. Like he hasn't really got a chance to talk to any druids down here at all. She's I think the only one he's encountered.
And among the things that she tells you about the druid circle that she's from, she's kind of vague in her descriptions. She doesn't give you she gives you a general location of being like they're mostly forest dwellers. There's a lot of it's based on very old druidic, towards the beginnings of like when druids split off from when wizards and druids, long ago kind of split. But in general it's kind of vague, especially given her other descriptions are very blunt and very clear.
guess my first question was like, how organized are you guys? Like, my druid circle has relatively, once or so a year maybe we have a meeting. We call everyone together. We have a meeting. We talk about the ongoings. I mean, I essentially ended up down here because I basically drew the short straw at our annual meeting where we're having all these problems. We need someone to come down to Merrywin and start trying to address all these problems with dragons and demons and shit. And that's how I ended up basically with these groups of people.
And she says, like we, most of the conclave doesn't ever leave the forests. She says, I'm one of the only ambassadors who goes out into the civilized world. She says, and I'm one of the 3 council members of the of our conclave.
Interesting.
And she says, there's the other 2 remain at their posts, one in the forest and one in a city to the far west. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's like that's very different from Harlan's, where like the druids are. We almost function as like healers. Like we are trained and then we go back to basically like our clan or whatever, and we function as like healers and basically like nature wizards, right? We function as both healers and sometimes we help fight big evil things. If fucking Jotun shows up and wants to fucking rumble, well, shit.
And she says, the rest of the conclave doesn't leave the forest. Like they function all together. We're part of a larger community of working with other woodland creatures and inhabitants. We don't see much of the outside world, and in fact, there's like a general decree or policy, however you want to look at it, that it's not forbidden to go see the outside world. It's just deeply frowned upon and harshly questioned.
See, we are definitely culturally we are much more insular as a culture. Our culture doesn't mix, whereas like you'd see the locals here who are definitely part of the area. So like if you basically, I would say the best way to describe it is if you took Merrywind or like a small section of Merrywind and said, "This is your people," and then some percentage of the people from our tribe are druids, right? So realistically, my tribe is probably about the same size as your circle, but we have far less druids.
She says, and by no means when I mention the conclave, like I don't mean that we're all druids by any sense. There are some paladins who are with sin fighters and rangers. But generally speaking, all people of the conclave don't leave.
Yes, we I would say that outside of the occasional trip south of the mountains to get supplies we can't not natively get, which is very little. I would say maybe in my lifetime, I would say I can think of, and Harlan's older, he's mid-40s. I would say that I can think of maybe 4 other times in my entire lifetime someone has went from my tribe to Merrywind.
She says, until I don't know, within the last let's see, I'm 25, so within the last prior to my exit from the conclave, which was by our council's decision, there had only ever been one person who had left the conclave in the last 1,000 years.
You're even more insular than we are. That's honestly impressive. Good job.
She says, yes, well, a long time ago, the outside world shunned our conclave. So as a result of that, we don't get out much.
We've always been protected by the mountains and the snow, so we get very few. Most of what we have to deal with are giants, and I guess as of late, dragons and devils. But before that, I mean, we always had a little bit of that, but now that's mostly what we deal with.
She said, until very, very recently, she said within the past year or so, we didn't encounter anyone outside of the conclave, as we're separated by time and space from pretty much everyone else.
Interesting.
But the circumstances have changed. So, like I said, I came from the conclave, and another member of the council is outside of the conclave as well. But like I said, in general terms, she's very vague. I would say almost it sounds, I wouldn't say like sketchy, but it definitely sounds like what
Cagey.
yeah, kind of weird.
But yeah, that is a little bizarre.
She says, but enough about the conclave. Like given how you're given your group's manifestation, or like increasing prevalence in other world affairs, she's like, I can imagine a time where you will have the opportunity to visit the conclave if you so choose.
Yeah, is she speaking directly to Harlan or the group in general?
She's speaking to the group in general.
Well, if the opportunity presents itself, we'll be very honored.
So, any other major questions, comments for her?
I can't think of anything, but then again, I am brain dead, so.
You're not brain dead, you're brain sleepy.
Okay.
So a couple hours pass, and she says, okay, well, Liliana should be finishing up her long-winded speech at this point. Let's go back and check in with her. And she leads you guys back to the Temple of Michael. As she does, you can see people filing out. She's motions over to you guys and to go through this side door again. And you come in, and I would say 90% of the pews are cleared out. People are walking towards the walkways out. There are some people who are still in the pews praying. But Liliana is on the stage, but she's talking to a couple other, I would say, like mother-looking people. Mother in the traditional Catholic sense again.
Mm-hmm.
And she spots Cinnamon, and she motions over to her, and she says, "Cinnamon, where did you disappear off to again? Like, why are you always running off during service?" And Cinnamon replies, like, "I'm sorry, I ran into some friends. Here they are. They wish to speak with you about a trading proposition." She says, "So I'll let them speak." And she, first introduces you all.
Honored to meet you.
Liliana is an older woman. She's probably, I have an actual age for her. Give me 1 second. Hello.
Hey guys,
What's your nap?
pretty good actually.
Quick one.
You guys want to update her while I'm finding this?
Yeah.
Update him. Sorry, not her.
So quick rundown. We went and talked to the orcs. Their game. We gave them 10 gold because that's 10 times the normal salary. As sort of like, hey, we're putting you on retainer. We're going to hire you in a bit, and they're fucking super stoked. We went and talked to Cherry Meadow. They're down with us building a thing there, so we're going to build a fucking thing there. And then we're right now in Lunastrella, talking to them about building a dock in Lunastrella.
Oh, gotcha.
So Liliana is a older woman, like I said, in her 90s. She has very pale, I would say, like almost twilight sparkly skin, and like
She's a
blazing blue
unicorn?
eyes. Close. But blazing blue eyes.
Okay.
And she says, what's his proposition? Like, follow me to my office, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
So you go and you sit in this rather luxurious office, but still very religious at the same time.
That makes sense. Keeping up with the Catholic analogy there, then.
Yes. And she says, tell me about this proposition.
Well, we are looking to establish a trading route by water that runs from Cherry Meadow through Masiki Mech to Lunastrella. We're looking to establish some docks and some boats and basically shorten the trip time from one to the other by a lot and put ourselves and Masiki Mech right in the middle of it.
She sits back in her chair and thinks for a moment, and she says, I like the idea of increased trade opportunity. And she says, from a political standpoint, it will help my my waning control over the aristocracy. She said, who's gonna put up the docks? Who's
Us.
going to man the docks? Like, how is that going to work financially? And will the increased trade come with increased problems?
Our plan as it stands is to, if we have the ability to build the docks, we have the crew, we have basically we have hired enough people to build all the docks out, staff the docks, and well, probably not entirely staff the docks. We're probably going to also be looking to hire some locals in the cities who are familiar with the cities, and we'll have a better understanding of what is needed and acceptable there. And then we will pay for the boats. We will organize that. We will make sure everything is staffed. We will make sure there are guards on deck. More or less, we will be setting everything up ourselves. Now, if you prefer to have control of the dock yourself, that can be that can be had, but we have more than have the ability to do this ourselves.
She says, okay, that answers the first part of the question. She says, now from a financial aspect, where will that, besides the increased trade, which, we do a fair amount of trading, but in all actuality, we don't have a lot of contact with most of the other city-states on the continent. So, from a financial standpoint, how will this impact us? How will we, I don't want to say how will we benefit, because I see the benefit, but
from a financial impact, your turnaround on shipping goods to and fro is going to go from weeks to days. So if you're shipping perishable goods or anything that or you're having perishable goods shipped to you, the access to that is going to be much higher. The cost should overall go down because it will not take as long. You won't have to hire support crews for as long periods of time. A lot of times now, if you want to go from Lunastrella to Cherry Meadow, you're looking at hiring someone for 10 to 14 days just to make it work. Whereas we'll be crewing everything, and the travel time will be much shorter. Also allow us to move things to and fro much more frequently.
Be a lot safer too. You won't find bandits on the river.
She says, bandits I'm less worried about. She said most of our problem is with the creatures that have started to come out of the woods. She says the woods used to be well defended, and now they are not. And she when she says this, she looks over at Cinnamon and kind of glares at her a little bit. And Cinnamon just rolls her eyes, and she says, you know what the problems are going on there. If you wanted to solve them, you'd go and solve them yourself. There's a little bit of tension between these two.
So we say to her, we are aware. We've been asked to look into this already. We're going to go look into it in the next few days. We've got some other. We need to get this. Right now, we are starting to get this shipping route underway. So that's once we have that started. Once we get the go ahead from you, it's going to get started. We're going to start building docks out in all of the cities, and start looking at getting boats and having our crews ready to go. Once that's done, we're going to start looking into what's going on in the forest.
She says, okay, provisionally, this, I'll approve this. She says, but if it turns out that you're not able to clear up the security of my citizens, then you have to understand that we might have to part ways.
I don't see how we wouldn't be able to fix her problem in the forest.
And she says, well, someone hasn't been able to fix it yet, and once again glares at Cinnamon. And Cinnamon's like, again, you have an army of paladins. Go and get them out yourself if that's your problem.
I would say this is look, we solve much more problematic problems than this all the time. This should not be a big deal. It might take us a little bit, but I can't imagine this is going to be too insane. So
Problematic problems.
We're going to go back to Hasiki Mek, get the dock started, and a day or two we will be back to look into the forest.
She says, "Okay, that's fine. Like,
Um,
if you need anything from me or you have any more information, let me know." She's like, "I'll expect your return soon to figure out the forest."
the only thing we are going to need from you is when the time comes to start constructing the docks here, we are going to need some temporary housing for our crew while they're building the docks.
Quality housing.
Good thing you weren't here for the first one of this. Because you would have seen that originally the dock workers lived in a bunch of tents.
Yeah, we were not super. I was not super enthused by that.
That's not very cash money.
Not.
So she says, "Fine, I wish you well on your journey, and I'll see you soon."
Okay, so we've got that sorted. Let's go back to fucking Asiki Mek and start getting some temporary. We need to get some barracks built and some actual housing set up for these guys for the long term if they're going to be leaving Marywind to live in Asiki Mek.
Yeah.
So I would say basically, like for the short run, let's build some barracks and then like one or two, basically a house or. We'll need to figure out how many people he actually employs that are like, let's say higher ranking, right? Like who is just your average like footman, and then who's your like more established dock worker, or who's like one of his lieutenants or whatever. His management. So let's go back to what time of day is it approximately?
I would say like early afternoon.
All right, let's take the portal back to Mac. Talk to Ciela about figuring out who we should start. Well, maybe this isn't even a Ciela question. Maybe this is like a what the hell's the dude's name question. Guy who runs the other guild in town, whose name is escaping me.
Alistair?
Yeah, maybe we ask Alistair who we should use for building out some housing. And yeah. And we're gonna need some land as well, which is, we have to buy that.
So, you guys go towards the portal, is that correct? And
Yeah, I'd like to thank Cinnamon for her time.
well, and Cinnamon says, I'll follow you guys to the portal. So once you guys have exited the Temple of Michael, then she, gets close enough to you guys where she can speak in a quieter voice, and she says, "I'd be cautious about the forest." She was like, "There are rumors that the forest has been infiltrated by darker groups." She's like, "So the occasional encounter that there seem to be troops from someone, probably Asriel, that are moving in to the forest for some purpose that we can't determine yet."
Well, in that case, we're going to restart the wards, and if we have to kick some ass and throw them out of the forest, we'll kick some ass and throw them out of the forest.
She says, "Okay, good. Like, just be prepared for whatever may come from, like, whatever kind of incursions you might come across. Like, just be warned. There are there are some evil forces afoot that, for whatever reason, the Grand Cleric refuses to launch a incursion force against."
That sounds shady as fuck.
Doesn't it? doesn't it? Just
Yeah, 10 to 1. She's either being paid or she's just okay with it.
or it could be that it could be that it's gonna move a problem that she doesn't want to have to deal with.
Do we
You
know
see what I mean?
anybody with Zone of Truth?
Let me look at my weird racial thing. I think I might be able to prepare that thing actually.
And I too will look at my spells. Bard.
I can prepare a Zone of Truth. I don't have it prepared right now, but I could have it prepared.
I can't. It's enchantment.
It is on my racial thing, so I can prepare it if you want.
That sounds like a good idea.
Let me look at my spells and get Zone of Truth added. Really. Do I not need prepared? Probably something like level 1 is just not need prepared at all anymore. I never use Fairy Fire Bloom unprepared.
So you guys return to Summertide, is that correct? Or not Summertide, sorry. Mech.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
So you guys return to Mech. And you know, not even a whole day has passed since you left. So you Knuckles finds you quickly in the tower. That's the brother. And he says, like, how'd everything go? Did you meet my father? Like, did they accept the deal? Or are we moving out? What's the game plan here?
And I'll just explain to him what happened. We met your father. He accepted the deal. Your brother asked that you stay here and start getting stuff in preparation here. Realistically, we're probably going to be moving the lot of them here in the next 4 or 5 days to get this all underway, maybe sooner than that. So we need to find right now. We need to go hire some people to build out some housing, essentially. What the fuck? I cannot add Zone of Truth to my spells. Every time I try to copy it from the whatever the thing is called on the right hand side, it just fails.
How weird.
It says accepting drop from compendium and then doesn't accept it.
Fucking roll 20.
Anyway, so yeah, I explained to him what's going on. Say we're going to look into getting some housing built because we saw the housing your people were living in back at the fucking back in Merrywind, and that's unacceptable.
He says, we've lived we've lived a long time as why can I not think of the word? As nomads. So, like, it's not the worst thing living in tents your whole life. He's like, but it does everything feels impermanent because of that.
Yeah. So the plan is, as it stands, we need to talk to your father, or you might know. How many men would you say fill a leadership role other than your father?
He said, well, my 3 oldest brothers, one of them you've met, Miles. are the sort of like his right hand men. And he says beyond that, most of them, it's kind of like there's not really outside of them. There's not really a hierarchy per se. Like everyone pitches in where it helps. And they're all very fluid about knowing how to do different jobs.
What about like families? Like, do a bunch of them have families, or are these most younger, or are these mostly single men or single female women? I don't know.
He says, well, technically everyone's related. He says they're offshoots of my uncles who are no longer with us. Um, my three uncles' families comprise the majority of the group. There's a couple like more distant cousins. They'd be my father's cousins' children.
Mhm.
That are with us, but I would say in total there's like five families or so, five
Okay.
general groups.
Well, I'm talking about this more pragmatically from like a housing stance. How many so original plan was to set up a bunch of barracks, and then some single family housing for your father and any of the higher ranking men, just as a sort of way of like recognizing their position within the group, and then put everyone else in larger, nicer, essentially barracks, at least for the time being. If they're used to having like all their own tents, that might be problematic for them.
He says no, generally speaking, each family has I would say 3 or so tents. So my father's and his descendants, we comprise a third of the forces. So in total, there's probably 75 of us in our
Mhm.
family. My father's direct descendants comprise 25 of those 75 guys, and the other 50 are split about 4 ways.
Okay.
And they generally take I would say like 2 or 3 tents, depending on like one of the families has 15, so they have 3. One of the families only has 5, they have 1.
Okay. So if we build a couple barracks and sort of let you guys self-select which barracks you live in, um, that would probably be functional then.
Yeah, he says that'd be perfect. Definitely an upgrade from the tents.
Okay, then that's very workable then. Okay. All right. So with that in mind, we're going to go talk to people and start looking at getting some of these barracks built.
Okay, perfect. Let me know what you need from me, and I'll start preparing the materials that we need for the boats and stuff like that, and costs. I'll get those together for the actual docks itself.
Okay.
So who do you go to speak to about
I think
building
we
the
ask
barracks?
Alistair who he thinks would be the if there's anyone that would be good for this. We need to build probably 3 barracks which can each house 20 to 25 people, and then 2 or 3 small houses. We also need to acquire some land which to put it on, ideally somewhere near the water, since that's where they're going to be working. So we don't want to make them travel halfway across the fucking city for work every day.
So you go to Alistair and you ask him these questions, and he says, first of all, it's great to see you guys again. He says, and he writes down on directions and a name of like a little faction of carpenters that's in town. He says, minus supplies, it'll probably cost about 50 or so gold pieces for just the employment of the people, and he says, if you have them get the materials, it's going to cost more. If you get the materials yourself, obviously, you know. Um, and he says, but that should be where you start. As far as land goes, he says you're going to either have to convince some of the farmers near the towers to sell some of their land, or the better option, and because obviously that's going to affect what we can produce in town. He said the other probably better option would be the aristocrats that favor us would be able and should be able to bestow land to you guys that's on the north side across the river. And there's even like a makeshift sort of like docking area if you look where the windmill is.
Mhm.
So he's talking about this area over here that's claimed by the nobility but unused.
Okay.
He's like, that's probably going to be like your more appropriate way to go to get it. He's like, but if worse comes worse, if for whatever reason they won't sell or give it to you, then the rest of the land that would be available would be here.
So, okay. So, all right. Now, here's the next question I just thought of. We've got these bridges. We're going to have to build drawbridges.
And I mean, really just convert them to drawbridges, right?
Yeah. Something we
I
could lift for
that
ships.
think that was brought up earlier when we had Cassandra working on the castle.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I know at least the bridges that are to the tower are drawbridges,
Okay.
one way or another. Um, the main bridges in town could be converted either by the carpenters that you employ, because they're like carpenter masons, it's kind of a general
Sure.
generally they do both. Or there's also you'd have to double check with Knuckles, but probably that would be work that could be done while building the dock as well by the increased amount of people coming.
Sure. That makes sense. Okay. In that case, yeah. So we have to go talk to those nobles about the land.
Is that where we go next?
So,
So you go to the an aristocrat side of town, and go and talk to one of the nobles, one of the noble families, right, with the W, who's the one who's been the aristocrat who's been most supportive of you guys. And, I am guessing you tell him the situation about the land and whatnot.
mhm,
So we don't need to rehash that for
yeah.
the multiple time. And he tells you, like most of the land in question belongs to the families that support you. So I'll talk with them, and we should be able to get an arrangement for for that land by tomorrow. We can I'll talk to them directly
Okay.
and get it figured out. And then by tomorrow you should be able to either have a price to sell the land, depending on what the other ones say, or just a like certificate of ownership.
Sure. That makes sense. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Let me know if I can do anything else to support you guys. Like, you guys are doing great things.
I think right now that's it for now, but
So, with the rest of your day starting to be mid-afternoon, where do we go from here?
do we go and talk to the dudes about building this once we know what the land situation is? Like now and even before we know what the land situation is?
That's fine. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
So we go and we go to talk to this carpenter group, and the like foreman, I guess is how I would put it, of these of the carpenters, comes and discusses with you guys, and he says, "Okay, um, given what you want done, like as soon as the land's approved and you have that, um, he says it'll take um about 50 gold pieces, and depending on the availability of materials or how fast we can get them in, um, we could finish in as little as 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Like, we have a large company, so we can put a lot of guys on it. Like, the 50 gold pieces isn't just for 5 guys. It employs quite a number of people to get these structures built quite quickly.
Oh yeah, that seems totally reasonable. Sure, that seems totally reasonable. Now, for acquiring materials, is the best way for us to do this to do it ourselves, or would it be faster for us to do it ourselves, or faster for you to try to acquire them?
He says, "Well, we're not loggers by nature, so we'd buy the raw materials from another person. Um, the time between those trades would probably add a couple days, so we're looking at maybe 5 days for the total project, getting in the materials and whatnot." He says, "But if you know someone who has access to lots of wood and stuff like that, or can get it yourself," he said, "depending on when you get the materials here, that could be shorter or faster. Like, you getting the materials depends on your own timeline. I don't know.
Yeah.
How long that'd take you."
So we probably know a guy who knows a guy, right? Like we know enough people who can at least point us to someone, either between Merrywind or what do you want? Between Merrywind and Ciela, we should be able to find a good source of lumber, right? Like realistically.
Yeah, for sure.
Then yeah, I mean, we should be able to acquire something within not that long, and we have fucking. We're thinking with portals, so makes sense.
He says, "Well, good. If you guys can find the materials, like, that'll speed things up." He's like, "Otherwise, if you find that you need me to find the materials, then let me know. Obviously, that cost is going to go up, but I'll let you know if I need to look into it."
Okay. In that case, who should we talk to about? Well, let's talk to Ciela and see if she knows anyone.
So you guys go back to the tower, find Ciela, and describe the situation to her. And she says, "Well, there's a company, there's the division of the of Alicia's crown rulership that I wouldn't say it's like a logger on retainer. It's more like she employs a number of loggers, so they might actually have the wood on hand. She's like, we just have to go get it from them. But she says, that's the first place I would start, because obviously Merrywind being surrounded by forests, there are plenty of opportunities for logging. She's like, if you want, I can reach out to Alicia and see how fast we could get materials shipped here if you'd prefer.
Yeah, it's how fast? Like, we can just portal there and talk to her. How long will it take you to get in contact with her?
I mean, I was gonna use the sending room, so
Perfect.
about the same amount of time. So she reaches out to Alicia and describes the situation, whatnot, and Alicia lets her know, we've depending on the amount you have or the amount you need, we can show me some size of the structures, and we should have most of that on hand, so we could get it to you today, tomorrow, whenever you have enough people to help us move all the wood through the portal, no problem on
Perfect.
Archives.
So, I mean, do we have any sort of drawings from the architects we talked to? Or
Yeah,
we get
of
them?
course. Yeah.
Yeah, we could take them to her through the portal. Easy clap.
So you guys go through the portal, right, to Merrywind? Go through the portal, Merrywind, and show her the plans, and she brings over, she brings in her, Alicia brings in her lead architect, and they look over the plans, and the architect says, yeah, we have this on stock, easily more than this. He's like, I can have guys, get it prepared over here. We can probably have it through the portal by the end of tomorrow.
Oh shit, we're gonna need wood for building docks also. Okay, so yeah, we were gonna mention we're gonna need a bunch more wood if we're building 3 sets of docks and boats. So chances are we're going to need to hire someone to do some lumbering for us.
And Alicia interjects and says, just let me take care of getting this wood for you guys. She's like, we can get more wood here. We have a good source of wood. Let me take care of this for you guys. You guys have taken care of enough problems for me. Let me just do this as a show of our friendship. I'll
Sounds
get
good.
this taken care of, and we can start getting these materials to you tomorrow once we get them all together and start moving them through.
Sounds like a plan.
So we've got the wood, we've got the contractors to start building the barracks. We've talked to the dock workers who'll be able to start bringing, building the docks and whatnot, manning the docks as we have them set up.
Yeah, so maybe we do we go back and tell the orcs we're ready for them tomorrow, basically, or the day after?
Yeah. I mean, will we be ready for them? Hello?
I
Like
think
I'm muted.
Hello.
I think based
Oh.
on the timeline, that would be accurate. I mean, tomorrow or the next day, that would, accurate timeline. We start putting stuff together then.
Yeah, do that then. We'll let them know when we're ready, and then they can just. We're not going to pile them all through the portal, though, are we? All these orcs.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't think. I think we should. I don't know. It gives us an illusion of like fucking being special, doesn't it? When we rock up places just out of the blue. We told them we were wizards.
I say we should have them all just pour through the portal, screaming at the top of their lungs when they get through.
Let's not.
As much fun as that would be. But basically, how long would it take them to travel down? To travel to where we are from where they are?
19 days.
Oh, well, we need to get them to set off then, don't we?
Yeah, I think we should normalize the use of these portals.
Oh, I don't.
Well, only, let people know that we control the portals. We control who goes through them. Or at the very least, maybe not, like we personally control the portals, but let people know that the portals are under control.
I think personally, I think the less. See, the thing is, if it becomes sort of common knowledge that we've got access to something that's particularly effective, means powerful, then other people are going to want it, aren't they?
Sure.
Yeah, but I feel like it should be a bit. I don't know. It should appear that we have some power that other people don't have, but not that it could be quite easily taken away from us.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know. What's everyone else think?
That's what you were asking because I was replying to a Discord message you sent me. Sorry.
No. But regarding the orcs, we either need to tell them to set off. If it's going to take them like the best part of 3
We're
weeks
just
to
gonna
get
bring them
down
through
here.
the fucking portal. Like we'll just go get them. We'll just be like,
Yeah.
we'll just like let's go tell them now to have their shit ready tomorrow. Basically, if they can be ready tomorrow or the day after, that would be great. And bring their tents because their housing is going to be done. It'll take a couple days for their housing to be built.
I think part of it might be a little bit like, part of it might be that I feel like it's our toy and I don't want anyone else to play with it. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not security. I don't know. Honestly, I'm being as honest as I can about me as a person. So I feel like, yeah. Yeah, okay, well, we'll let the corks fucking go through. Not corks. Corks? Yorks.
We'll let those damn corks through, I suppose.
Yeah. Mm.
So, we go to Summertime. Is that correct?
Yep, and let them know what's going on.
Go back through. You guys speak to and he says, "Okay, me get people together. Like we'd be ready tomorrow morning."
He doesn't talk like that, does he?
He does. He has very broken common. He normally just speaks in Orcish, as he only works with orcs generally.
This is what's its dad, isn't it?
Yes. Miles.
I was going to say Malcolm, then I don't know why. Yeah, Miles is dad. How's he spelling by the way? Because I've written it as just U-R.
It is just U-R.
Okay, cool.
He says, like, I get everyone together. We come soon. Like, we're ready tomorrow morning.
Okay, sounds good. We'll come pick you up. Chances are the first task we're going to have for you guys is to move some lumber. I'm assuming you're equipped to handle that?
He says, "Oh yeah, we move lumber all time."
Okay, the lumber is going to be used to build your housing and the docks and all that fun stuff, so it's going to be a lot of lumber.
He says, "Oh, perfect. We need workout. Some get fat and lazy."
Are there any sticks laying around?
You gonna hit him with it or something? What do you?
I say that was exactly what I thought you were going to do with it. Are you going to hit him with a stick?
Well, yeah, but in a nice way, like in a consensual way. Like, hey, let's
Why?
fight with these sticks.
Why?
If you're, well, they sound like they're bored.
For
Fat
what?
and happy. We gotta beat the happiness out of them.
I thought we were being nice for a bit. I thought we were being nice.
Well, maybe it's something you wouldn't understand, being a halfling who lived a cushy life before he
Cushy
became
like.
an adventurer. But us big people, we like to beat each other with sticks on a regular basis. Keeps us in shape and keeps us on our toes.
Man, Halbjorn's gonna feel a real outsider because when we were here, I told the group saw this group of 75 orcs that are coming with him, orcs and half orcs, and pretty much they're all like Halbjorn size, more or less. Like the men, the women, anyone who's of age is just 7 foot tall, 300 pounds in that general range, like big, huge dudes and dudettes.
Good. On a serious note, it would be good to make sure they have some sort of combat training.
Maybe you could do like everyone has to wrestle Halbjorn, right? And anyone who pins him gets to go through the portal, and anyone who doesn't has to walk it to
Build up you a little
Look,
bit.
Please don't encourage Halbjorn's wrestling kink, like please.
Well,
Now
I
I'm
was
just
just trying to
remembering.
make I was just trying to make it fun for all of us. So like, do you know what I mean? We can all cheer on all the orcs just for fun.
So I think that's a decent stopping point.
Sounds good to me.
Right before the wrestling starts.
Right before the wrestling starts.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering there's this horrible documentary. Well, it's not horrible. The material's horrible about like this dude tickling fetish dude who paid like millions of dollars to get like really weird really like buff athletic dudes to make porn essentially where they get tickled. It's real fucking bizarre.
Oh wow. And you saw this where?
It's a Netflix documentary.
Oh, right.
It's called Tickled. It's from 2016.
Pickles.
Tickled.
Oh, right, tickled. Okay.
Yeah, tickled pink.
On just one more important thing before we go,
Wait.
these s'mores that you were telling me how to make.
Mhm.
Right, if I used digestives,
Mhm.
digestive biscuits, marshmallows, and you grill the marshmallow onto them. And when you say chocolate, do you mean chocolate spread?
No, generally they'll use like a chunk of chocolate. Like let's say you bought a chocolate bar. In the US, chocolate bars come in like little. You can they're segmented, so you can break them
Yeah,
easily.
you can buy those. Yeah, you can buy like
Yeah.
a dairy milk and it's in sections. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
basically, what you
so
generally
you can snap it. You can snap it into little pieces.
Yeah, so generally what they'll do is you'll take a section or two of that and you'll put it on, and then the goal here is not completely melt the chocolate. You want the marshmallow to be hot enough just to melt it some.
Yeah.
I mean, you in theory can go like for the full melt, but generally you're looking for just like the mix of like the crunchier bit, like the texture, but then some of the melty as well.
Okay, and then you put another biscuit on top, like another digestive on top, to make it like almost look like a sandwich.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Like a burger, like a marshmallow and chocolate burger, but instead of a bun, it's like.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I know what I'm doing.
Do you have any facial hair?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a beard.
Oh boy, yeah. S'mores are so fucking messy.
Oh right, okay. So just have one before I'm going to have a bath then.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. I think my girlfriend's kid might like making them. That's all. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. Like I said, from what I was seeing, you want to get a little bit of a thinner one because so graham crackers are quite thin and the digestives look to vary in thickness. So
yeah, they are a bit thick. Yeah. I'll try it anyway.
I was seeing that you can buy like thin digestives. They're called digestive thins, but a lot of times those already have like chocolate or whatever on them. What I was seeing.
Yeah, digestive thins. I'll do a bit more research anyway. So
you can buy graham crackers in the UK sometimes. I literally found places you can buy them.
Yeah. Have you been to the UK?
Well, no,
you mean online? Right. Okay.
Yeah, some stores sell it, but you can also order them off like Amazon.
Hmm. Okay.
Nabisco makes them. Liebers makes them. Tesco sometimes carries them. Oh wait,
Yeah,
hold on.
although there is quite a bit of stuff that gets listed online that then isn't. Like I've spent literally absolutely fucking ages looking for German mustard since I came back from Spain, and the only reason I managed to get even loads of supermarkets